Oh, for sure. Definitely
like
freshly in love sex is
intense
and also like makes you wanna talk about
prophesize.
You want to talk about it because you're like, is anyone else experiencing this kind of
word?
Have you heard the good word? And well, I mean, I do think everything in the bedroom is, of course, like it is the most politicized space, in my opinion. Of course, like,
and like everything, like the foreplay, the body of it. Like,
well, you taught me about that. Long. You taught me about decentering orgasm, which was such a helpful framework because I know about decentering. I've decentered a lot of things in my life.
Yep.
But decentering orgasm was so fun for me because I was like, oh yeah, that is actually so low-key revolutionary, especially for the cishet community, which I am in and out a member of. You
dip in and out, and
I dip in and out. Well, you know what I mean.
My girlfriend was also teaching me about like the way that like talking about decentering orgasm and like catharsis, and she was also talking about the way that like sometimes a story, like we don't always need to be like this plot point leads to this plot point, which you and I are super like trained in and attuned to, and I really love, like, you know, hang the gun, fire the gun, like tight editing. Yeah. Sometimes a story can just like be a random series of moments.
Well, and that's not what we saw this week on the White Lotus finale. That was cathartic. There was nutting. We were nutting,
folks. Welcome to Stream Queens.
Welcome to Stream Queens. Oh my gosh, we're finishing the White Lotus today.
I'm Julia.
I'm Erin.
And you said it. We are covering season 3, episode 8 of The White Lotus. We did it, girl. Congrats.
Oh my gosh. I'm like...
Thanks for streaming along with us, everybody.
Everybody who's been streaming along with us, thank you. We love you so much. And we can't wait to keep watching shows with you. And we're so excited to dig into this finale.
Yes, we are the Bushwick intellectual class. Yeah. We are television connoisseurs.
We have the definitive take on television and pop culture and culture and television
industry,
and how these
entertainment
things relate.
Professionals. Somebody this weekend was like, oh, so you just like recap the episode, you just talk about the episode? Baby, no. Like, we are doing literature level, college PhD level analysis, character analysis, textual analysis, story structure analysis, like,
and also going through, we're seeing ourselves in the text, we're going through personal journeys, we've had our own arcs, we've had my whole, you know, we've had our own arcs with it, right? We've had my arc with Carrie Coon, how much do I see myself in her? We've had my arc with Amy Lou Wood. The way I feel about her is that, am I gay? Am I straight? Am I impossible to put into a box? Probably. Hey guys, I'm Erin.
Which is so like, it's so GSA.
It's so GSA. I'm like, I don't have to be. I actually started GSA in high school. I was one of the founding members.
And
as an ally.
Which a story tells all the time. Many such cases.
As a season finale, are you satisfied? Amy Lou Wood warned the general Gen Pop. She said, y'all are going to hate Mike White. So do you hate Mike White? How do you feel?
I could never hate Mike White, although I did say that at the beginning of this season. But standing invitation, of course, Mike White, come in the pod.
Please.
I feel satisfied. I feel like we got catharsis, release, you know, like talking about structure, talking about what one can do. And use the word epic earlier. This was a fucking epic. This was Odyssey. Yeah. This was everything one might want out of Aristotelian type structure. I will say that is, of course, very masculine. There's an essay by Joanna Russ about like how female characters are necessarily excluded or don't fit within the epic Odyssey hero's journey of storytelling, because like, you can't be a woman who goes and travels the world. You're going to get raped and killed. You can't leave your family to go do self-discovery or to like try and bring stuff back to them because now you're a bad wife, sister, or mother. You can't go and conquer the world because you've never been king.
You weren't let out of the
dictator.
house.
Yeah. So
yeah.
That said, I feel very satisfied and I like it. Sorry, I like it. It's indoctrinated. It's ingrained.
I like it too, and there's been a lot of reactions from especially my more avant-garde film inclined friends who I've heard from immediately after the finale who were
eye roll.
I know, but I love and support, and I like freaky kind of filmmaking. I like stuff that's open-ended. I like when it's not all tied together with a bow. That's not what Mike White gave us, but I think that's a fundamental thing where I'm like, but that's TV. Like, that's fan service. We like, as the general TV watchers, we like a finale that feels satisfactory. And it's like when you develop, while like in TV, different than a film where it's more fun to kind of let things be open-ended and really leave you thinking and wondering what happened. It's like in TV, well, I've had enough time with these people. I've been with them for 8 weeks and I'm parasocially attached to these people. So I need emotional catharsis or I'm going to be mad. And I think a lot of people feel that way. And so it's like it was a very neat ending. It was very much, and for an episode that started with a monologue from the monk talking about there is no resolution
to life's big questions,
and that there's often, we take these actions, but there's often no resolution. In TV, there is, and we got it. To me, like, this was very neat, and we expect it.
Freak, like people, like the Twin Peaks, David Lynch series. People were like, especially from corporate, they were like, you need to make this satisfactory.
Yeah.
Or like people freaked at certain endings where it's like, if you leave it ambiguous, like you're going to make people mad.
I never like watched Lost, but weren't they like, it's all a dream?
Yeah. Like, and talk about avant-garde. I think there was some really, this season especially, sophisticated ass filmmaking. Like, I mean, I don't know, some of those shots of like the beaches and water, those could be paintings. Like, they aren't necessarily.
Oh, totally.
And he's also grown as an artist. Like, watching Mike White season to season do this, I really do think that.
And watching his confidence too, like, soar. And after, I will say, like, when they cut to him after the post credits interview with Mike White, it was so like I was mad when I saw his face. I was like, because he's talking real casually about these characters. He's like, he was giving broy, and he was kind of like, it's the Greek tragedy ending, and and I was like, those were my fucking friends.
No, these aren't just pawns.
These aren't just pawns in your game, Mike White. Like, he talked about them so kind of like he, and like, well, I don't know if Victoria is going to survive without her money. I don't know. We'll see. And I'm like, Mike, I care about her deeply. I'm emotionally invested in they're
the
so
power of the medium too.
Yeah, which is, and that's TV. I think that's why I love it so much, is to get these people become my friends.
Well, talk about somebody with an arc. I think it's time to really get into Belinda, who last week I was talking about, like, her and the serving class as like existing in slave morality, which I found out afterward is Nietzsche. I was actually quoting some Nietzsche.
You're too smart for your own good.
Thank you. I heard he's a little bit of a chaser. So
Nietzsche?
Yeah.
Really?
I don't know.
Where'd you hear that?
ContraPoints.
Thanks, girl.
Well, yeah, and we're all going to have a very specific...
ContraPoints open invite to come on the pod.
Like, please. She would never. She's going to Skype in. She's in Maryland. We can go down. We'll take the show on tour. Oh, chat. Let us know if you're going on tour. But we saw her. Again, there was a lot of, as with all this episode, this idea of values, of belief systems. Yeah. Like, we saw her kind of, all season. She, especially when she got this proposal from Gary Gregg of 100K, she was like, it's blood money.
Yeah.
This time though, we adopted where she really slid into some master morality.
Well, yeah, we totally saw her. I mean,
some inspiration from Zion.
$5 million will change a person,
It would change me.
It really will. Like, did you say it changed you?
It would change me.
Oh, I was like, did you recently come into $5 million?
No, yeah, I would be acting different.
I would like to know about that.
No, you'd be the first to know.
Yeah, well, we'd probably have a different kind of podcast set up.
For sure.
But
Zion
was so funny to me this episode. We watched this episode with a couple of friends last night. And
fans of the pod, friends of the pod.
Yeah, fans of friends of the pod.
Secret number is 49.
49, folks. If you were there, comment 49. But one of our friends was very much like obsessed with Zion, like thinks he's so cute, and like was kind of like on us about our previous episodes of like what she called Zion slander. And I'm like, it's not Zion slander. Like, I'm just not
criticism of a man, of a young, confident. He's like, I'm a businessman.
Right. Like, it's just
You're a kid.
You're a kid. And also, like, I just feel like I know guys like Zion, and like, that's not like my friend. I don't care too much about what you have to say. Like, it's the kind of guy I look at and I go, you're going to have a great life. You're going to be super successful in business. You're going to get married. You're going to be super happy.
Especially now that mom's in a position.
Yeah, I'd love to see you at the Super Bowl party. Like, I bet you're fun there, but I'm really not interested in what you have to say. And watching Belinda, like, listen to him was like the whole time I was like, I don't know if he's whose advice you need to be taking. Like, he's overconfident.
Yes. And you kind of afterward, the breakdown and then me sleeping on it, I was a little bit like, sometimes it is people's kids. I've done this to my moms of like, where you're like, hey, like, I see you and what, like, I see your fucking potential and all the shit that you underestimate yourself for. Like, you light my shit up. I love you. Yeah. Like, grasp the thing that you want. You can be the, like... Yeah,
it is so beautiful when the child gets to become an age where they get to be helpful to a parent. It's so satisfying.
And so she did. She went to go see Gary Gregg. You and I are scared the whole time, of course.
We're scared the whole time because we're like, we are not trusting Zion when he's like, go back, let's see how much money we can get out of this situation. And I'm like, whoa. Okay.
I also love, like, I'm glad that she not abandoned her morals, but like looked at it differently, because it's like, look, Tanya didn't give a fuck about you.
Well, and then, I mean, this was the Belinda to Tanya pipeline for sure, because she did, as soon as she got her $5 million, she went to Porn Shy, and I think she said almost word for word what Tanya said to her about starting a business, which is, I just can't commit right now. And that, you know, is breaking his little heart. And
it's the same thing we said to fucking her in season 1. It's like, she was never going to start a business with you.
No.
She doesn't know you. She's on vacation.
Yeah, totally. But it was disappointing to see her not kind of leave with Porn Shy because I think he would have also been like willing to kind of go with her. And I also like, for a woman like Belinda, there's a scarcity of men like Porn Shy out there. So I kind of am like, whoa, you're really like letting that go.
Well, and when we talk about what you trade, what you give up for certain things, like, you probably lost one of the great loves of your life.
Yeah. And in return, you got $5 million and you're going to go start your business, which is awesome. But I think you could have had both, but maybe not, right? Because like, I do see how it could have gotten more complicated, especially when it's like, you know, at the end of the day, it was her dream. She had this dream before Porn Shy entered the picture and wanted to join her on the stream. Like, it was hers. And this whole arc with Tanya and Gary Gregg it's her story. It's her money. And
it is character again, you know, Mike being on his like theatrical tragedy. Like, yeah, we saw characters kind of do a flip of morality in a way that I don't know. I did enjoy, but I do think of Tanya a little bit differently. But I'm also fucking happy for Natasha Rothwell.
What a performance. Spitting out that whiskey was...
Congrats, girl.
Yeah, and I
thought... Her face when she was being quiet during that meeting. Perfect.
Oh, she was so good. And then when she had that little flip where we didn't know if she was genuinely kind of storming off, but she turned out to be in on the con, I was like, okay, girl. Like, I like seeing her get savvy and get a little ruthless but also as she gets closer to the money, right? And I think leaving Porn Shy, it's the whole, we've brought up the crabs in a bucket metaphor before that Mike White obviously deals with when you deal with the people the haves and the have-nots of this show. And so for Belinda to be, she's going to step on people on her way to the top. And as you get closer and you start to see the light, you see the edge of the bucket, you're about to get out. Like, it's like, sorry. Get the fuck
shake
off
those
me.
last
shake
fucking
those last
people that are
off
pulling
you.
onto your
Absolutely.
little crab legs.
You can't take everybody with you.
And compliments not only to her performance but to the HMU. Her hair looked fucking beautiful this entire season in every scene, and I want to take a second to, as somebody who, as a performer who has very specific needs in terms of presentation, like just as a trans person, as a trans woman in front of a camera, there are certain ways that like certain clothes aren't going to fit me the same way that they do other women. Sure. Like, there are certain areas of my body that I need that need to be like accounted for, and so often in fucking film and television, people like me, people like Belinda are not cared for in the hair and makeup department and to lighting. She looked fucking good. So I want to give the congrats to everyone on the set and like empowering her to do her best fucking work.
And it was, I mean, so her best fucking work. She is such a force of an actress. She is so embodied, so believable, you know, like yes. I just, especially her, because I often have a hard time. I'm a little bit naturally distrustful. I wouldn't maybe go as far as to say cynical, but I have a hard time believing in you know what Zion said at the beginning of the episode, good things happen to good people. And I don't know if I believe in good people very often.
Oh, nice.
But Belinda and Natasha Rothwell's performance of Belinda, like, I really believe that woman. I really believe she's a person who has a passion for healing, who's waited a long time to win in her life, and who is, I don't blame her at all for kind of, because especially after Tanya betrayed her with the like spa thing, like for, what was she, you know, vengeance for Tanya? For what? What did Tanya really do for you, Belinda?
Nothing
until now. Actually, Tanya
was never going to give you the money. Gregg kind of gets to sit pretty and like no consequences, but that's something Mike White is interested with, and we see with these characters too. Like
a lot of people have no consequences. Yep.
Some other winners this episode I think were the ladies. Talk about consequence free. Like they were gonna have a good trip.
No, and I said from that when we started the episode with our group, we talked about predictions, and I do remember saying, I was like, so the ladies, none of them are gonna die because but they are gonna witness something because they are gonna leave this place with a story to tell.
Yeah, like weren't you just on a trip? Oh boy,
my God.
We were in Thailand. How was Thailand? Oh,
we saw the hotel owner get shot.
No.
Yes, right in front of. We were taking a picture with him.
And it's a nice place. Like you wouldn't. Think
you would never think this would happen. Like, and I usually did. I didn't feel unsafe like the whole time until this moment. But it was crazy.
It was. Let me tell you all about it. And then that's what the trip is about.
And then it's going to erase all of the interpersonal drama that happened. Not for the three who experienced it, but the story they're going home with is a totally different story than what that journey was for them. And we really got to see, I mean, we started with the ladies in the morning, and Jacqueline goes to Lori.
Knock. Yeah. Hey, girl.
Yeah. And had this like moment of apology. And she said, I'm sorry about what happened with Valentine, and I want to be your friend.
Oh.
And at that moment,
which writing performance again?
Really lovely. Well, because I remember asking, I was like, was that genuine or was that manipulative? And Nina, secret number 32, she goes, both. And I'm like,
that's who Jacqueline is.
That's who Jacqueline is. Absolutely. She's not like a full-blown narcissist by any means, but she certainly has narcissistic tendencies. And I think her manipulation tactics, especially as an actress, are so innate in her that while she's doing that,
she probably doesn't
is
even know.
Also genuine, right? Like you can be doing both at once. And I thought her performance this episode was really true to that. I really felt that she did have a realization of like, oh, these friends are valuable to me. And while she may not fully understand the context of what she did, or she may feel a type of way about how Lori responded, she's like, I think she woke up in the morning with kind of an understanding of, I hurt my friend's feelings and this friend is important to me. And I think she expressed that.
Carrie needed some sleep. I get it too. Like
I know.
But I'm like,
I'm always
my excuse right now is I'm going through second puberty.
Well, I'm always just impressed everybody on all of the White Lotus episodes. I'm like, these people are making it to breakfast in a way that me on vacation rarely, honey. I'll see you at lunch.
Yes, and these resort lives, it's all about the breakfast and dinner.
It is, I know, but it's always early. You know what I mean? I'm like, they're just sometimes doing stuff before breakfast.
They're like, breakfast is over at 8.
Yeah, I'm like, whoa.
What?
Hello.
In what world?
Yeah, I was out late.
I was out fucking Alexi. Which, fast forward to dinner with our girls. Last dinner, they all looked adorable.
Yeah, well, before dinner,
Shout
though.
out Alex Baird. Yeah, pardon, before dinner.
Well, before dinner, we have Lori. She gets woken up out of bed for this apology, which I think is actually a great time to.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I like to be like early in the morning. I'm like, wake me up, say what you need to say, because I'm so clear, right? When you right out of sleep, I'm like, I heard that, and then I'm gonna go back to sleep. That's really gonna get in my subconscious, and I think that second sleep
gonna process
really helped her, because then when she did finally get out of bed, she saw the girls hanging out in the pool doing their little photo shoot, and Leslie Bibb's like, I don't know how to pose.
How do I serve? Love that. I mean, Leslie
wait,
Bibb.
how do I?
Which, fun fact, we've been talking about, me and Jane have been talking about Talladega Nights all week. Yeah. I'm going to jump you like a spider monkey. She's the hot wife in it. Leslie fucking Bibb.
Oh.
Yeah, the one who flashed her tits. And I remember as a young girl being very curious about that.
Yeah.
And like talk about awakenings later in life. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
I was like, what's going on behind that obscure man that the camera hid behind, so we weren't seeing Leslie Bibb's tits?
Totally. Respectfully.
Yeah.
But we then go to dinner.
Well, and that real quick on that moment is like, whereas I see that, I mean, we both just got a little bit of like, or from Leslie Bibb's like cute little moment, whereas originally that could maybe read contrived or like, fuck these two. It's like, no, she saw her friends. They're each having that moment of like, oh my gosh, I do, like, these are my people.
These are my people.
That little girl being like, what? Boom.
It's adorable, and it's so, and it's people being really true to who they are, and we really saw that at dinner, which we imagined immediately, like the dinner scene, we were like, okay, let's imagine the actresses getting these pages.
Because they got good ass monologues, acting.
But they really go 1, 2, 3 in this way that I'm like, Leslie Bibb, she gets her pastor monologue and is like, oh, I'm so excited. I'm going to deliver the shit out of this. My pastor. And it talks about planting seeds, and now we're all in bloom. And she's like, yes, I'm going to body this. Yep. And then she keeps reading, and Jacqueline's got this monologue about friendship and about being seen for, like, other people critique my superficial flaws, but you all see my really deep, profound flaws. And then she's like,
mentioned too of the friendship is who sees you.
Absolutely. That's what we talked about last week, because I'm like, that is, I think, real friendship in so many ways is just bearing witness to each other's lives.
That's so
but
pretty.
I think then she sees Jacqueline's monologue. Michelle Monaghan reads that and is like, oh my god,
hell
this.
Yeah,
it's
like,
so
it's me.
good.
I'm gonna make a meal
that.
of this.
And then both of them keep reading, and you see Carrie Coon's monologue, and you think, so she's getting the Emmy.
So she's gonna get.
So she's getting the Emmy.
She's
getting the Emmy because that's like, a really, really good monologue.
She is.
Yeah.
But she also had the deepest, to me, arc. She had a
100.
lot of fucking work to do. She earned it. She earned this moment. Mike White doesn't give us unearned moments.
No, and she looked beautiful. They all looked beautiful and really the most themselves on their last day.
Shout out Alex Baird.
Yeah.
Secret number 45.
Yeah.
Of, like, that's a costume designer.
And it was my favorite look for Lori too, wearing that dress, like that kind of caftan style dress with the cutouts and the sleeves and the silver. It felt really like, I was like, she's not trying to be like these other women in this scene. Like, she really looked like herself. She looked like a New York bitch in Thailand.
Yes.
And she delivered such a beautiful monologue that had, I mean, we were all, I think the whole Not a Dry Eye in the house when she delivered that incredible monologue about.
That was on theme too, with spirituality, religion.
Right. She said, I had career was my religion for a long time, and I don't believe in that anymore. Love was my religion, and that made everything worse. And
I went exactly, and my girlfriend went, what the hell? I was like,
shit.
And
then she also said motherhood, right? Was not, she's like, you know, I tried to make that my religion. That wasn't satisfactory to me either. But when I look around at you guys, it feels meaningful. And I think that is so beautiful to say too, because it is about.
And she talks about time.
Yeah, time, in which we always say relationships are
time and shared
experience more than they are anything else. And like how you feel about the people who've seen you for a long time is they really become a mirror for you. And she says, you know, she's had so much disappointment in her life, and she hit the nail on the head with what they accused her of last week when she said, I've been sad all week because my expectations were too high. And it is that they clocked her when it's like, you're addicted to disappointment, you know?
Yeah.
And it's, you came in with really high expectations and you let yourself be sad, but she looks around and she's like,
high performers do that too, I think.
I think so too. Yeah. It's like how it's fuel, right? Like, and she says, you know, I'm happy you have a beautiful face. I'm happy you have a beautiful life, and I'm just happy to be at the table. I think that got all of us.
Carrie Coon, Mike White, congrats. That
was a really beautiful sentiment and monologue. And also like she had a really salient point about the older you get, the more you feel as you accumulate more years on Earth, the consequences of your choices start to show.
You have to make more choices.
Yeah, and especially when you're someone like her who's very headstrong and has had a bit of a superiority complex, especially comparing herself to these other two women.
Yeah.
But she's like, the choices they made, whether I agreed with them or not, have been very fruitful. Their lives are very much in bloom.
Yeah.
And I think she doesn't really feel that way about her life, but she also...
they're part of her life.
They're a part of her life, and they said I had heard there was like a thing on, I don't know, probably TikTok or something that was going on for a while. It was like,
we're streaming
that if you want to know how attractive you are, if you look at your closest like 6 friends, you're probably hitting right in the middle, you know, like, and I think that's true on a superficial level about how you look, but it's also very true, I think, about who you are, especially when it comes to long-term friendships. Like, look around the table of who's at, you know, your birthday dinner. It's like those qualities, good and bad, and all of them really are such a mirror, because if those are the people you've been with on your life's journey for a while, like, you are those are a mirror to you. You are reflective of them, and you probably embody a lot of the good and bad qualities of all of them, and you become an amalgamation of the people you're surrounded by.
Well, and similarly, and I'm not sure how much this applies, but the idea of like, you want to like surround yourself with 5 people who are better at the thing that you want to do than you, like whether that's be a person, whether that's career, whether that's, you know, spirit, etc., because you will rise to the fucking occasion. And the second you're looking around, you're like, wait a second, like, this isn't right, let's elevate.
Well, and I think that's true though in terms of because there's a difference in their friendship that is so important, is that they're happenstance friends, right? They grew up together. It's a very different, it's more like a family relationship, like cousins and sisters. Like it's very different to have a relationship with somebody who, if these 3 met in their adult life, they don't have a lot in common. They probably aren't seeing each other as someone embodying traits that they want to embody. And therefore, you might not pick those friends, but you don't pick and choose the people you grew up with, and you can choose to maintain that friendship. And I like what she acknowledged. We live our lives apart, but we still get to come together.
Which, chat, call your best friend, text your best friend from home who's now in another state. Like, go on a trip, do whatever your equivalent of Thailand is, like, even if that's the Wisconsin Dells, even if that's going to Sage Thai by the Grand L Stop.
Go to Sage Thai by the Grand L Stop with your bestie,
for real. Then, was everyone so lucky?
Well, no,
not everyone made it through this episode,
but you know who did?
Tell me.
All the Ratliffs, by the grace of God.
I mean,
the Ratliffs
despite
made it
Timothy's
out.
fucking best efforts to fucking annihilate the entire family.
Well, so much happened with the family, so should we walk it through?
Yeah, and talk again about parallels, analogs. There usually is this family at the center of Mike White's stories. Like, they really are.
They've been the central.
There are a story, and deal with a lot of the
themes head on.
And this episode was no fucking exception.
No,
starting with
all.
The meditation center.
Yeah, we wake up in the meditation center. Piper did not get a good sleep.
Duh.
And then Lachlan's bought in. He's ready to go to the meditation center as they walk home on the beach.
He's bouncy. Kids are bouncy.
Yeah, and Piper's back in her fuck ass dress, and then she goes home.
Oh God, what do you mean you're meditating with little hearts on your dress?
It's absurd.
The fucking cottage core, the tradwifeification of people looking like shit.
I know.
You want to return to that?
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Please. And then they go home, and Victoria is already beaming.
I don't know. She's a little bit, at first she's anxious. She's on edge.
Yeah. But as soon as I think she sees Piper's face and has this intuition that it's like, was I right?
Yeah, how'd it go?
You hated how'd it go? And she's like, it's not a cult.
Right. So. And
then she tries to ask Lachlan, okay, Lachlan, tell us. And Lachlan said, I don't fucking know anything, okay?
Okay. I've got my own interiority.
Did he say fucking, or is that just me?
That's the way we do it.
I know. We say fucking too much.
Okay.
That's
a value judgment.
Sorry.
How you feel about your relationship with that word is up to you.
I know.
Miss Pipe Down Piper. What does she say?
Well, she's
talk about villain. Sorry.
I mean, her little monologue was so funny to me because it felt like the first time we actually saw the real Piper. And I think that's why Victoria is so satisfied, because it's like, yeah, you got your daughter back, because that's the girl you raised all of a sudden. Because when she starts crying and says, you know, the food, it was vegetarian, but you could tell it wasn't organic.
Whew, lost it.
And could I really eat this for a year?
And Victoria starts smiling before giving the fucking mission accomplished George Bush thumbs up. Meanwhile, Timothy like reeling of, oh no,
yeah,
like
these girls are dependent, right? Because she goes on this whole like diatribe about like, I realized, you know, I am spoiled and it's pathetic. And then Victoria's like, it's not pathetic. And she's like, no, it is, because I feel there's billions of people that are suffering and my life is so easy. And then Victoria delivers some lines that are truly some of my favorite. They're very, I don't know, they're just very, I think, aligned with my worldview in a way. Maybe not entirely, because there's something villainous about what she's saying, but there's also here it's twofold, right? Because what she's saying is, in one aspect, she's saying it's a disservice to the billions of people suffering to not enjoy how lucky we are and enjoy it, right? Like, and that's, I think, the villainous part, right? Because she's not suggesting change anything or do anything to help anyone. She's just suggesting enjoy it. But the part that I think is aligned,
let's go shopping.
Yeah, let's go shopping. Let's enjoy it and be grateful for what we have and just maximize it, right?
Max it, yeah.
Like let's wealth max and enjoy it. But the part that is probably less aligned with me, and I do think is kind of a villainous mentality. But the part that I think really was aligned was her point about, we live better than the kings and queens of hundreds of years ago. We are in a time on this planet where recently where it is so, our lives are so comfortable and so prosperous. Like, it is so beyond fortunate. And I think remarkable. And that part, that I always think, like, today we're often so pessimistic, and there is obviously so much wrong with the world. We're descending into fascism and everyone, but in the, you know, the world's ending and climate change, everything, right? And it's people get so pessimistic though and start to think this is the worst it's ever been and it's the end of times and all of this stuff. But I'm like, historically, if you look at the past several hundreds of years that we have on record, the last thousands of years, like, is people have always thought it's the end times, and generally across the board, we are more prosperous, more comfortable, less people are poor, less people are hungry. The general, arrow of progress.
Anybody listening to this podcast, anybody watching White Lotus, even if you're not able to stay at that hotel, fictional hotel, we live like royalty.
Like royalty, Like, are you sitting in AC?
Right. And
isn't that nice?
And let's have gratitude, and then let's also think, how can we share that prosperity?
How can we share that prosperity, and how can we make it better? But also an acknowledgement, like, to not get so jaded and pessimistic and feel like the way I think Piper felt, to not feel like you need to deactivate and go to the meditation center to find some kind of center. It's like, let's get a little, you know, the arrow of progress generally points up, and the world actually can get better, and we can, it already has, and if we make it. And so it's like, you don't have to
do that in Thailand.
Yeah. And
I mentioned it before.
Yeah, you can go home and take some of this principles that you've learned and some of what you've seen, and you can really affect your Chapel Hill community.
Let's lift the vibrations of that community.
Yes, and let's help lift grow where you're planted, right?
Yes.
Like, let's get in bloom. Thanks, Leslie Bibb.
And we see Saxon is on his spiritual vibration development piece too. He doesn't have to go to the meditation clinic to have his little book, his little Amy Lou Wood book.
Right, but how much does he really get out of that book, do you think?
I don't know, but more than, I'm glad that he's reading, because when he's trying to pressure, when he's pressuring Lachlan to man up, to bulk up, or, you know, get money, get pussy, more like get uncomfy, right?
Well, and then he says, nobody's gonna make you a man. It's like,
well, you were trying that the whole time
48 hours ago, but okay.
Which but when we talk about character development or arc, Saxon having that moment with his dad of, I'm wrapped up in you, my career is built on you, my identity is built on you. Perhaps there is a little bit of a warning that he's trying to give to his younger brother of, you have to be your own person.
Yeah, totally.
No one's gonna make you a man, because if you depend on dad,
you're gonna get let down.
Yeah.
And if you depend on me, you're gonna get let down. But he also, while we've seen Saxon start to have this growth, we also see still this fundamental difference between Lachlan and Saxon and what in their levels of self-awareness, because where Saxon, yes, he's edging some kind of awakening through his relationship with Amy Lou Wood and through these books. He's still, the way he communicates.
Once again, a woman's gotta educate a man, grow a man.
But like the way he communicates about the incident with Lachlan is
the incident.
Yeah, the incident. So
it's like, I'll say it, you jerked off your brother.
Yeah, for sure. And the way he speaks about that though is like still like, of course, the dialogue, Mike White is brilliant, really aligned, and to say, you know, it's okay to worship me, but don't worship me.
Which is like, so porn coded.
Worship is a choice word, but it's so porn coded, and it's so deflective and just kind of like it's dancing around it. It's using lingo to talk about this serious thing. And Lachlan is so much more self-aware and open, and his ability to say, like, he's obviously thought about it, and he goes, I'm a pleaser.
So hilarious. Funny to be like, look, I just want to like make other people feel good, which is why I jerked you off.
Right. Well, because I grew up in a family of narcissists.
Alexa, play The Pleaser by Chappell Roan.
Oh my God. Like, I just think he's got this. Lachlan, I get when he has that combo with Timothy later, like, I'm like, I do think Lachlan's going to be just fine. That budding self-awareness that he has to be able to just acknowledge, like, yeah, I know what I did. I know it's taboo to jerk off your brother, but like, I also know why I did that, and it has to do with the way I was raised, and it's just a reflection of my surroundings. And he's still a kid that's growing, you know, and I just think he's got so much potential, and Timothy obviously sees that as well, and that's why Lachlan may be spared from his wrath.
Oh my gosh. You did share, you were in Timothy's perspective today of like, Lachlan, you just might be okay, buddy.
You just might be fine. And I think it's Timothy's family annihilation plot. Very interesting, because I think we've talked a lot about having the empathy for Timothy with his, suicide plot.
Mm-hmm.
Family annihilation is obviously much less. It's much harder to empathize with that perspective.
No, it's scary.
And I'm not empathizing with it in this episode. I'm like, whoa. I know, like, they're saying they can't survive not being rich, but let's let them make that choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you didn't seem to believe in that much.
No, I just thought, I'm like, that's bad.
Yet, what we talk about throughout this season and what we have talked about with identity and suicide and family annihilation, he very much sees these people as an extension of himself, as part of his identity. If you're talking about suicide and killing the self, he doesn't really see these people as individuals, perhaps.
Right?
Yeah, but
except for maybe Lachlan, right? Because I mean, that's where I think he, as we talk about kind of the masculinity that's been passed on from Timothy to Saxon to Lachlan, while he looks around and maybe sees his wife and Saxon and Piper as kind of these failures on his part, or as like an extension of his failure that couldn't survive without it. I think part of the reason Lachlan, while his admission and truth that he probably can survive without any money, while that saved Lachlan, I also think that pushed the rest of the family annihilation kind of forward, because it gave Timothy this like clarity that like, oh, like men care so much about legacy and the seed they've planted like going on without them, and so to see like, oh, I think Lachlan can survive this, I think if anything pushed him over the edge to kind of be like, I'm gonna go ahead and do it.
Right, like it's the seed pod that got carried away by the wind.
Yeah, exactly. And was like, okay, I know that my legacy will live on through Lachlan, therefore I feel more comfortable now murder suiciding the rest of the family.
Yeah, I'm gonna go pick some fruit.
Don't let Pam get in the way of the fruit picking.
Pam if you know something, I mean, was she doing her best?
That's just Pam, baby. She's oblivious.
Pam's gonna do what Pam's gonna do. She's gonna be who she is.
Like Pam's just, yeah.
Pam's on. She's like, don't eat the fruit.
Pam's on beta blockers. Pam's in the sun. Pam's pretty blissed out. Pam likes her job.
Blissed out.
Yeah.
She comes to deliver the phone. Timothy's like, no.
Not yet.
No, before he fucking desecrates that fucking fruit and starts blending up seeds.
Yeah, that ripping open of the fruit was such a beautiful shot. Very Call Me by Your Name coded and very just like yanking out the seeds was
very orchiectomy coded.
Very what?
Orchiectomy.
What's that?
That's when the testicles are removed from the body.
Oh.
Yeah.
It was very orchiectomy coded.
Literally.
Whoa, that's so true. Is that
Chat,
what happens when they like neuter a dog?
No, they actually get to keep the balls.
Oh.
I think so. Maybe not with dogs.
I thought the testicles
but with cats, like Elio has his bits. Isn't that interesting?
But do you think the seed's in there? Or do you think it's like an empty little sack?
I don't know. Chat, let us know.
Let us know what y'all know about orchiectomies in animals. But yeah, he's gathering that fruit.
And there was a moment too when we talk about ritual spirit and like death cult. Piper was so worried about the other death cult, or Victoria was so worried about the cult that is the monks. Guess what, sister? The call's coming from inside the house. You're in the death cult right now.
Absolutely.
The visualization of the mass ritual suicide. Yeah.
Yeah, the ritual suicide of it all, the speech before drinking it, right? Like all of that was so, I mean, it spoke to everything. This episode was so, the through lines were just really well done in the script writing. Like, because Lori's monologue about religion can be love, religion can be career, work, all these things. Like it can also, cult can be family. Family is nothing if not a cult, and these people are
in this
together.
family a sex cult.
Hey yo.
But
yeah, I mean and we were screaming when he starts making the pina coladas and he pours all the glasses and he leaves what's left in the blender. We were screaming.
We're like, clean out the blender. Clean out the blender.
Think about it. He's not. And Mike White, evil for like leaving that blender in the shot. He knows what we're all screaming about the blender because we know what's going to happen.
Well, I will just say this, like my philosophy is that the task is not complete until everything that was required to complete the task is returned to where it was when the task began. He didn't follow that rules. And but consequently your family you're gonna kill your family. That's true. It's like he doesn't really know about. He
doesn't know how to do that. He doesn't do cleanup.
No.
He doesn't know about that. Yeah, but then he ultimately, I'm glad, of course, that he.
Why do you think he had a second thought? Like, where did that come from?
I think it just came from the difference between it was 500 Days of Summer, expectations versus reality, two shot. Like I think you imagine killing your family and then you look around and you see them all kind of, it tastes bad, right? And then I think just seeing that reality just snapped him back. Like it just looks different in real life than it does in your head. And it's like, I can't fucking do this. Jesus Christ.
Thank goodness.
And thank goodness. Like, thank goodness.
And yet when we talk about the poison next morning, because we didn't clean up, Lachlan's going to make a smoothie because his brother was like, you gotta drink man smoothie. And talk about passing the right, like the reason that the poison is there is because dad put it there, and like all that's wrapped up in his ego and masculinity. And then him going to the blender, Lachlan going to the blender at all is because Saxon was pressuring him to man up. And it's like, well, he's fucking poisoned. He's gasping. And let's moment for the filmmaking.
We were devastated. We all saw the Lachlan death coming, but it was devastating as it happened, but it was also
really beautiful. And like original, not cliche, not trite.
No, looking up at letting the palm trees start to go out of focus, and then him going into the water and swimming, like towards the light, and seeing the four figures that were they family, were they monks,
were they both?
Yeah. And I was yelling.
Yeah, you were yelling.
I was yelling because I was yelling, don't go towards the light, don't go towards the light.
What do you mean by, what does that mean?
Well, it's like,
because to me, I'm like, I'm going toward the light.
Because you like the light.
I'm a bug.
You like the spotlight. You love the limelight.
Hello?
No, I know you're not supposed to go towards the light because I have seen a lot of kind of near-death experience content and people who talk about that kind of thing. I'm into that kind of stuff. I'm kind of, I fancy myself kind of a Lachlan. Yeah, I think it's distinctly possible that Lachlan ends up really growing from this experience and becoming kind of like, he could be like an NDE kind of influencer, or perhaps just kind of further explore his like spirituality in a way that I just think will be really fruitful for him. Like, I think like Timothy, like I have a lot of faith in Lachlan. I think he's a strong individual who is going to grow into a wonderful and nuanced young man.
I hope so. I hope that this is something that helps him and doesn't kind of ruin him forever. Your one and only. The
My
people
girl.
who, the yin and the yang, which you clocked in the beginning.
Yin and the yang. I just like
Pain and hope.
This faded love story of Chelsea and Rick has really been like, I've loved these two from the top. I love this couple. I love this dynamic. I'm a sucker. I'm a romantic. I'm a fatalist. I like a, kind of faded love story. I like, and of course she does end up dead, but I think that's how she wanted to go. You know what I mean? Like she said it, she's romantic. And I think the acting that scene, like, you were screaming. You said, "Give her a rom-com."
Oh, give her. Yeah, Amelia said the secret number is 93. Amelia said that rom-coms are dead, and so I'm like, she's
not if you cast Emily Wood.
Well, or just give her a romance. Yeah. We love a romance.
Yeah, we love a romance. So I would love to see her in that because her face seeing him finally give her some words of affirmation by saying that's the plan is just the relief that rushes over her to finally have him just admit that he does actually, in his heart of hearts, see it the way she does, which is like, let's spend our lives together. And I think that's so.
And chat, tell your woman that you're going to be with her forever. Even if the next day it's all going to go to hell and you know you're about to act reckless, tell her, give her that relief.
Give her that feeling and let her make that face because it's just like stunning and
worth
heartwarming
everything.
To see. It's worth everything for her to have that moment. And
we've talked about epics and we've talked about odysseys. We talked about tragedy, which these characters certainly embody. They also they're a fable.
100
is kind of, if we're doing genre, what they're into. And she really is perhaps the consequence of her present, right? She's very spiritual, but she's talking about amor fati and like them as high concepts.
Yeah.
And such that she misses, like, girl, you are wasting your life on a man who you have to quote unquote heal. Like, you've got a hot ass friend who is partying it up that you could be hanging out with. Like, I don't know. I think sometimes when we get lost in our daydreams or our fables, they keep us from realizing what is true in a similar way. And perhaps maybe that's why they are meant for each other, because Rick is very much like, he's so obsessed with his past and how it is preventing him from a future that never will be. But his obsession, again, just really hampers him from being present. Maybe they are perfect for each other.
But you don't have a ton of, I mean, actually neither of us really have had a ton of generosity for Rick really doing this avenge his father narrative this whole time. And it felt like, you're a grown-ass man, shouldn't even be over this. But I don't know, in this episode, it started to really click for me. Like, what Chelsea loves about him is that deep sadness and pain in him. And I do think it is, we underestimate with age, like, honestly, time doesn't heal everything. And for a man who lost his mother at a young age and never knew his father, like, those wounds are so deep. And it's so, I see why he spent his life kind of chasing some solace with that, because
it's funny how the things that
it's
become
incredibly
your
empty,
meaning.
you know what I mean? And like, that is, that's his search for meaning, right? I mean, you talk about like with the Ratliffs, the cult of family, like also what happens when you have the absence of it, right? Like when you don't have that connection to anybody, you kind of are this lone wolf figure.
She does say in a moment of clarity, or maybe it's not clarity, but in a moment that resonated for me, she's like, you are so focused on love that you thought you missed out on. You are missing the love that you have. Focus on the love that you have, which is of
right
this
in front of you,
devoted woman whose tit you love to suck.
This beautiful, devoted young woman who is perfect in every way.
It's a crying shame.
And then, of course, this moment of love and happiness and coming together is, of course, fleeting because Kun Jim arrives.
Oh my gosh, Kun Jim is back on the scene.
Yeah.
He is back on the scene with Sri Tala. They're coming in hot.
Coming in hot, ready to call your mama a drunk slut.
Chat, don't be calling people's moms drunk sluts, liars.
Even if it's true, because it definitely, when he said that, I said, nah, he knows that for a fact.
No, but it's going to start to escalate a situation.
A man who just, pushed you over and held a gun in your face, like, but he knew. That's why he showed up. I mean, he showed up ready to escalate that situation. Kun Jim, like his bodyguards. I mean, he showed him his gun.
Yeah, and that's again the problem. Like when there's a gun in a space, like people are gonna use a gun, y'all.
Right. Well, and to make the comparison to the rat lifts again,
please.
too, I think there's just so much, right? Timothy, while he almost killed his whole family or left his whole family and lost all their money, did all this stuff, those kids have a father who is present, and while he maybe sees him as a extension of himself, as someone narcissistic, he cares and he's there, right? Like as much as he's capable of. And I think for Kun Jim to, even in this moment, look at this grown man, know that he is his father, and not and just tell him, and
he is a son of a bitch.
Yeah, like to leave that absence in his life and then to continue to not give him any closure in that moment was it's not the right choice. And it makes sense too that he said, like, your father, not a saint, and you didn't miss out on much. And of course he's talking about himself, and it's like,
which seems obvious. How's that not obvious to fucking wreck?
Yeah, which seems obvious, but also is like, I don't know. It just is like, so I'm like, that was a very opposite of empathetic choice. Like, even though obviously it's like, that's a grown man, you're not going to like become his father. You know what I mean? Like overnight, you're not take him to the game. You're not going to do that, but you could have given him some closure to this clearly lifelong journey he's been on to find you. So to not give him that was just a final kind of fuck you as the absent father, right? Like,
and just shows that he's nasty, and perhaps again, like, guess what, you didn't miss out on much at all.
You didn't, no, because that's your man. Like,
and what you did a great job of naming last night too is that perhaps in leaving, though there is tension based on the dynamic you just mentioned, right? Like the absence and the presence, and presence at least you can kind of reflect or bounce off of, whereas absence, all it is like throwing into a void. Like Kun Jim gave you a life by leaving.
Yeah, by not being in your life.
And he was so convinced that Kun Jim took his life. It's like, baby, he tried to give you opportunity.
Well, he quite literally gave you life.
And you fucking and you fucked it.
Yeah, and you fucked it. I mean,
so he runs to Sri Tala. Amy's like, did she say anything kind of amazing that morning?
She says, can you get me a donut? He has this interaction, and then she gets her donut, clearly sees, she's like, please don't do something stupid. She's begging. She knows something horrible is about to happen. But she grabs her donut, takes that final bite, because that girl, she going to have a sweet treat.
She is going to have a sweet treat. She
on
deserves
her way to die,
it.
she deserves that little last bite of a donut, because girlfriends.
Do you think she knows?
I don't know if she knows death has happened, but she knows who he is. She knows he's like, he goes, I didn't kill anybody when he first came back. And she was like, that's good. Like, she knows he's a killer. She knows the stakes are high. She knows.
And another thing we talked about too, like it appears based on like Rick's, I mean, he is a good shot. I bet he's killed a bunch of people, and I bet he's left a lot of children fatherless, motherless. Like let's think of our own part. How are you? What's the Kun Jim in you?
Right. What families have you affected by your clear, like kind of hitman-esque past that gave him access to the gun, and also that he can shoot.
And just another word of caution is like when you are around the dangerous man, like it's going to be bad for you. Like these toxic relationships, like it's not just that like it hurts your feelings, like this shit is fucking fatal.
It is. Well, and that's these metaphors that we've seen just again came really beautifully, because I think, and we talked about in I think episode 2 or 3, the snake show episode, the metaphor of Amy Lou Wood is really in many ways the cage to Rick's venomous snake, that she's saying, it's better that they're in cages so they don't hurt people. And she, for a moment, when he was like, that's the plan, we're going to be together forever, she had him in the cage, and then Kun Jim let him out. He was ready to love his cage, and then Kun Jim let him out, and now he's a loose venomous snake again, and she lost him, and obviously also her life. I mean,
and then talk about a reversal and a sacrifice of values, belief system, integrity. Guy Talk, who comes in at the end, who this entire episode and this previously we had started to come around on him, of him being like, look, everyone thinks I'm weak in this position because I'm being measured against my ability to cause harm and do violence. My belief system is such that like nonviolence is spiritual enlightenment, is the way.
It is my choice.
My choice, and my steadfastness and my choice in that is strong.
Right. When he said that to Mook early in the episode, Guy Talk was like, she was like, I just thought you were confident and ambitious. And he said, I am confident when I feel good about myself. So he's a man with his values in place, but he obviously is ultimately suffering kind of the same fate as Belinda, which is rising out of his station, getting exactly what he wanted. He got the job, he got the girl, but he lost his values for sure.
Yeah, because he has to shriek to us, scream and shoot them after the entire episode. He's tried to quit. He's like, I don't think I'm cut out for this.
Right.
He won't even snitch on Valentine.
No.
Which is a nice reversal of people stealing jewelry at the hotel. We're not gonna lock up forever the Hawaiian kid. Like, I do like that he was like, look, I don't need to. We're all in this class together.
Right.
Oh, God. But yeah, he ends up betraying that and shooting. And then Mook, of course, is like, couldn't be more thrilled.
I mean, Mook got just what she wanted. And yeah. And also, fuck y'all who thought Mook was in on the conspiracy.
Right. Like, what? I mean.
But yeah. And I mean, Guy Talk, of course, shooting Rick while a gift to Mook, a gift to Shrita Law, in many ways a gift to himself, or perhaps a former version of himself before he'd kind of had this real Buddhist realization, because he got himself
there was a job
exactly what he'd wanted, right?
Yeah. Rick smoked those
and
fuckers.
Then it was also a gift to us, because he got to give us that beautiful shot, the yin and yang shot of Rick and Chelsea in the water, really embodying that fated couple, the yin and yang that we've been clocking in them the whole time. Just this epic ending of the masculine and feminine, and when love, it was like Carrie Coon said, and sometimes it makes everything worse. Good.
It was. I can't wait to watch it again.
I know, me too. I'm really gonna miss these people so much.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we got a little bookend with kind of everyone. I like that the last thing we saw, Fabian was freak out and fall into the water, because that I was just like, haha, bye girl. I had enough of you. Thanks for your little song. Yeah, taking the
vertical photo. Like, how are they going to fit in that? There's five people.
There's 5 people. Take it horizontal. And then we got the Gary Gregg and Chloe, who, he's going to get exactly what he wanted, which is he's going to watch Chloe fuck that guy and get his little satisfaction and heal his little relationship with his mommy. And and that's Chloe's life. And she's going to keep doing that. And we saw Frank back at the Buddhist Meditation Center.
Yes,
we're gonna see him get back on track. Let's try again, because you know what? Healing and recovery is not a straight line.
It's not linear.
And we fall off and we get back on and we keep trying. So respect to him for that. And
it was very much like high school movie ending of like, Guy Talk went on to be the bodyguard,
totally.
And Sam Rockwell got to be who he thought he was gonna, like, it was 100%. Spiritual. It was kind of fun.
I enjoyed it. Well, and again,
and then we saw both Belinda and Zion, because we were like, please let them be going home.
God,
please let them be going home.
And they were, and they're going home, saying bye to Porn Chai, who's a little heartbroken on the dock, but like,
I'm happy for everyone. It was a happy ending.
It honestly was a happy ending, even Chelsea and Rick, because I just think at the end of the day, they both wanted to go out like that. in many ways, or at least that's what they've been building towards.
Yeah.
So Mike White, thank you for season 3. We had a lot of
Thanks,
fun.
Mike.
Stream Queens listeners, thank you so
Thanks for
much
streaming
for
with
streaming
us.
with us. We've had just the best time.
And we can't wait to keep having fun with y'all.
Yeah.
We are like literally when we say we stream, like we're looking ahead for what's next. We're considering, chat, let us know if you'll watch with us. The Last of Us is the next prestige Sunday HBO
Max.
And we loved the first season. It's a complicated, we love that it's based on a video game, one of the most successful, critically acclaimed video games of all time that you and I
both played.
Yeah, and watched growing up. And then there's queer elements, there's queer storytelling, there's episode 3 of season 1 of The Last of Us.
Oh, if you and I have had a lot of people be like, oh, as I've been temp checking doing The Last of Us next, people have been like, oh, the zombie show. And I'm like, baby, it's so much more than that. If you're considering coming with us for The Last of Us, but you didn't watch season 1, you have time to catch up. You have all week. If there's an episode you're going to watch that you need to sell yourself, if you don't know if this show is for you, it's going to be season 1, episode 3. Go ahead and just watch it, because on its own, it's as an independent episode, it is standout, really beautiful, but shows you what this that show can do, because I'm very excited. I feel pretty committed to The Last of Us.
Beautiful filmmaking, beautiful storytelling.
Yeah, incredible performances from Bella Ramsey, Pedro Pascal.
Yes.
Great performances. So I'm really excited. I hope you all watch The Last of Us with us.
Sacrifice. We'll see you next Sunday.
See you next Sunday. Monday seems like our day, but we'll see. We just do our best to get you all of your content.
We love y'all. Great job, Erin.
We did it. I love you. I love streaming with you. It's the best. I've had so much fun doing White Lotus with you.
All right, this is Stream Queens. I'm Julia Went.
Stream Queens. I'm Erin McKeon.
Find us everywhere at Stream Queens the Pod.
Thanks for streaming.